We're here in the famous Mansfield room of the U.S. Capitol with Sam Cornelius, the venerable, the honorable Sam Cornelius, whom I'll introduce more formally in a second. Over our shoulders is looming the portrait of the late and former Senate Majority Leader Mike Mansfield, for whom this very prestigious venue is named. Sam, you and I have just had breakfast in this room, as we do nearly every Monday here in the Capitol.
That's right.
And Sam, you have so many stories to tell because you have served our country in so many different ways. You've served different presidential administrations. But one thing you've done, among so many others, is to make your mark on the civil rights progress in our nation. But from the other side, we usually think of that as the territory of the Democrats in this town, but you have been a lifelong Republican.
That's right.
And you did your civil rights work as a Republican. Tell us that side of the story.
Well, let me say that it's very, the one thing that I've got is that if you're going to get something done in Washington, particularly here on Capitol Hill, you better have both parties with you. It's highly unusual to get anything done. I remember when we passed the resolution to open all the YMCAs in the United States. The way the resolution was written, it said that no city could hold a national convention unless all of the members attending, the delegates attending the convention could be housed and fed together. Well, at that time, that was not happening in a lot of the cities around the country. We got the state of Nebraska to do it, and then we took it to the West Central Area Council of all the YMCAs in that region.
And you were, what was your role with the YMCA at that time?
I was executive director of the Northside YMCA in Omaha, Nebraska. And I left there in 1967 and went into the state capitol in the state of Nebraska as assistant to Governor Norbert Tiemann. And one of my jobs was to make certain that we instructed Class A and B mayors how to get federal funds. In addition to that, I wrote the state manpower plan 3 years in a row. I was head of manpower commission for the state. The governor had appointed me to do that also. Left there and went to Kansas City to be the regional director in 1970. And became the chairman of the Federal Regional Council, which the council was made up of all of the people-serving agencies. And when I got there, one of the things we did was to make certain that we could assure that people who needed the help got it. But in the meantime, following that, I left Kansas City, came back to Washington. And I remember very, very well how we used to go out to the mall and we would talk about the work of Dr. Martin Luther King and how we wanted the holiday bill passed. And
marking a Martin Luther King holiday.
That's right.
Official federal holiday.
That's correct. And I wondered, why is it that we couldn't get it passed? I know that Jimmy Carter had said that he wanted it passed, but it just was not the time. So I got called by my friend, former Assistant Secretary of Labor, Art Fletcher, and we had to come up here to Capitol Hill. Bob Dole, who was our senator in Kansas, was the minority whip at the time. Senator, let's see, he was with Howard Baker, was the majority leader at that time. Minority leader, yeah, he was the majority leader, and Bob Dole was the majority whip. And he told Fletcher and I we had to get busy and see that that bill got passed, because the people who were coming to Washington were dealing with people who were all ready for the bill. And what he wanted to see was people who had not committed themselves sitting on the fence, or either had reluctantly said they would not support it. The chairman of the Judiciary Committee at that time, where the bill was coming through, was Strom Thurmond. And we met with Strom Thurmond and indicated to him what we thought he should do, and this offered him an opportunity to go down in history as doing this one official act. He told us how many votes would be against the bill in committee, and he told us how many votes would be against the bill on the floor. Enough votes to pass the Martin Luther King federal holiday. That got passed, and we had the signing of the bill out in the Rose Garden. Ronald Reagan signed the bill. Incidentally, Clarence Thomas, who was chairman of EEOC at that time, and now the Supreme Court Justice, was sitting on the left shoulder of the president when he signed that federal holiday. That bill was signed, and it set up a federal holiday commission, and the man that we wanted to get to be the first federal holiday speaker was Charlton Heston. He could not make it. I have a personal letter from him indicating his inability to be there. He was filming the Ten Commandments at the time.
So are you telling me that Republicans and conservatives actually got this Martin Luther King Jr. Day passed?
That is correct.
And moved it into reality.
And don't think that we did not get a tremendous amount of criticism from the other side, because they just knew that some Democrat president would sign off on the bill. The person that signed the bill was Ronald Reagan.
So now, folks, as Paul Harvey says, you know the rest of the story. Sam, thank you for telling us how sausage is made in Washington and the real scoop. We'll see you. Thanks for checking in.